A very, very warm welcome to everyone to today's Once Upon a Leader session. This is the fourth in a much loved series, and this time around, we will be exploring the Gurukul way of living and learning and reflect on how learning environments shape people, behavior, and growth, and what modern workplaces can learn from the Gurukul way of living and learning. Before I hand over the session to Shanti ma'am, I'd like to quickly walk you through our upcoming offerings at Grow with Satori. May I request Ishita to share the links along the way?
Sure.
Thank you. Welcome, Advait. On June 10th, as part of a Learning Guild session, we have the session titled Ask Like an Expert AI Powered Probing for L&D Professionals by Ruchi Tandon. In this session, you learn as to how as L&D professionals you can leverage AI to ask smarter questions and design real business gaps and detect real business gaps to design learning that creates impact. On June 13th, we have an in-person workshop in Bangalore which is called The Flip Side: How Your Greatest Strengths Become Your Blind Spots. Now, most of us are taught to lean into our strengths, but every strength has a flip side. Under stress, the very qualities that help us succeed can quietly turn into blind spots that affect our decisions, relationships, and effectiveness. This workshop will help you recognize when your best qualities tip into blind spots and what to do about it. Next up is the workshop Emotional Regulation Under Pressure, Your Internal Control Panel. Great leadership is not about staying unaffected, it is about staying regulated under pressure. This workshop is slated for 22nd May from 3 p.m. to 5 p.m., which will enable leaders to understand their emotional responses, make better decisions, and create calmer and more effective teams. And finally, in October, we have our 9-day wellness workshop tour in Sri Lanka. It is a deeply immersive experience that brings together learning, reflection, emotional well being, conscious living, and travel. We are very excited about these offerings, and if any of these conversations resonate with you, we'd love for you to join us. And yes, turning our attention back to today's session, I'll hand over the stage to Shanti ma'am with a lot of excitement and looking forward to what reflections and insights you're going to spark for us today. Over to you, ma'am.
Thank you. It's been fun doing these sessions. Very happy to be bringing another one. And thanks, Ishita, for sparking the thought of what could our next topic be. A little bit about Once Upon a Leader before we proceed. We titled the series as Once Upon a Leader, Timeless Stories, Modern Leadership Choices, where we bring in leadership, where we bring in, mythological history related stories, uh, look at the lessons that they teach us. We won't go through any models, frameworks. This discussion doesn't have any packs or slides that we will go through, but we will see what these stories have for us. What meaning are we making through these stories? Because leadership is rarely shaped in, clean, nice moments. It is shaped through everyday experiences, and I do believe we don't have to experience everything to learn. We can learn from others' experiences, difficult choices, and the systems we operate in. And so this is one such opportunity. Um, when Ishita recommended that, let's talk about Gurukul, it's wonderful. So we just were chatting as to what do we understand of Gurukul, and I will talk about a few instances of how I understand Gurukul. But let me hear from you. What, according to you, does Gurukul mean, and what does it evoke for you?
May I start?
Yes, please.
Um, I have not seen or heard experience from my fellow mates, but I have seen it all I have seen that on movies only. So, according to me, I think Gurukul is a systematic education system where, mannerism, punctuality, and respect, all of these are given a very much high priority than the education itself. So that
Yeah.
is the one thing I have observed.
Lovely holistic development is what we are
Yeah,
focusing on in Gurukuls. Thank you,
yeah.
Srividya. Asabri, you have your hand up.
I also have thought along similar line. To me, it evokes the thought of way of being, which which cuts across personal and professional space. It is about holistic development.
Lovely, lovely. Anush, you came on camera, so I'm
Yeah.
hoping to get a response from you.
Yes. Yes. So, okay. One thing is Gurukul. The Gurukul. This thing. It fills me with nostalgia because I studied in a system inspired by the Gurukula
Hmm.
system. I spent 7 years in this education system, and the philosophy was like I think someone mentioned earlier, integral education. So the secular subject, this thing was probably just one fourth of the whole thing. Where we also had we also had spiritual education, sports and cultural activities were a huge uh, part of what we did. So I was just talking to a junior of mine over lunch, and we were talking about a particular program where the students actually composed the song, wrote the lyrics, composed the music. So that's the kind of emphasis that was laid. So one is it's of course very very holistic, and the second thing is the atmosphere that is created. Right, and Gurukul literally means the guru's family, and the atmosphere that is created where one is cut off from the distractions of, uh, for lack of a better phrase, the outside world,
Yeah.
and is able to focus on one's own growth and development, and also develop certain, I would say that, the because everybody lives together, everybody lives as one, the kind of values of camaraderie and loyalty that kind of get generated in that kind of an environment really adds to probably character over and above the actual learning that happens, the knowledge transfer that happens.
Beautifully put, beautifully put. So absolutely right. I think all of you have hit the nail on its head. Gurukul isn't just a school, it is a way of living and learning where the students, we used to be called as Shishyas, lived with the gurus, the teacher, as a part of their household. So the Gurukul was nothing but the household of the teacher or the guru themselves. So the students went and stayed there with the guru. Lots of learning happened through, verbal repetition, rehearsals and practices. Everything was experiential. You go and fish, you go and farm, and the whole thing of connecting with the other students was beautifully done in the Gurukuls. Um, the focus was not only building knowledge, but it was also building intellect, character, discipline, purpose. And the children were involved in daily chores. They would do all the household chores. There used to be time for reflection. Of course, it was back in those days, right? So it was amidst nature and service, offering service to whoever needs it was big in those days. So, in simple terms, people didn't go just to learn something, but they went to the Gurukul to become someone. And why I'm saying this is, when I started my research on various interpretations and definitions of Gurukul, and I'm going to read out some of them. What emerged, and one particular interpretation by Devdutt Patnaik in Jaya is that parents would send their children to the Gurukul. So a farmer would send his or her child, a king would send, a peasant would send, a gardener would send, a potter would send, a goldsmith would send, whatever. So they would all send their children. Children learn life skills, and whatever skills they master, they are handed over to that parent. So if I am a child and my parents are farmers and I go in, but I learn goldsmithing better. So I'm given to the goldsmith parents and not back to my parents. That really shook me, that definition and interpretation, but that ensured sustainability, that ensured um, unbiased, and the value for what you do, what you bring to the table. It didn't matter where, in which families you were born, your caste, your creed, your financial well-being, but it was skill-based allocation of labor, and slowly it became into the Varna system, which we know is a very different interpretation today. But one thing that Devdutt Patnaik, he often highlights in his stories is that the Gurukuls were about dialogue, lots of dialogue between the Guru and the Shishyas, and also amongst themselves. Lots of contextualization of life application was offered to the students. He specifically talks about Mahabharata, where the Gurukuls prepared the children for life, not just to clear an exam, not just for any marks. Nobody passed or failed, but then everybody kept on becoming better versions of themselves. Learning happened through questioning the Guru. So children had the courage, the right, and the freedom to challenge the Guru and ask, why is this working? Why is this not working? Why aren't we doing this? Why aren't we doing that? And children lived the dilemmas to find their own solutions. So I think that definition was very powerful for me. When I read, he does believe that all the Western models are very instruction driven and our Indic models are very context driven. I do partly believe, I may not wholly believe, but it's okay. It is a definition that we have. That, so no disagreement with the Indic part of it, that, it is all context driven, totally understand. And Anush was sharing, and as he had joined a little bit early, about, how certain words impacted him so much. And then there is no one word in English for that. You have to have a paragraph to interpret what that one word means. And that kind of depth the Gurukuls gave. Then, of course, Amish Tripathi has his own way of retelling mythology, where he said Gurukuls are spaces where rigor of that discipline of narrating things over and over again till it becomes part of you, preparation for a responsibility that you held. So that's where in one of his novels he talks about, how each child could choose which weapon they want to learn. Like Arjuna chose the bow and arrow, and Bhishma chose the Gada. They were allowed at a very young age to choose what they want to master. Yes, they had to learn everything, but they could choose to master one thing at a very early age. Not like today, we start to segregate our subjects not lesser than eighth. Yeah, even in eighth, it's a very subtle. Do you want to take up economics and commerce, or do you want to take history and geography? That's a very subtle kind of a difference. It's not a purely different stream, but then children were allowed to do that back then. Going a little beyond, Swami Vivekananda, he thinks, Gurukuls focus on self-mastery and inner strength. He says the role of the teacher is to ignite, not instruct. And as a result, the only form of instruction that existed in the Gurukuls were the literature. Literature were read and explained, and that was the only form of instruction. Rest of it was all about igniting curiosity and allowing children to learn through experimentation, failing in a safe environment. And that's where, Vivekananda says that your role as a leader is to add capability, not to block and withhold it. Then there is this interpretation by Rabindranath Tagore, who set up Shantiniketan, which worked on the Gurukul ideals. Children went there, stayed there. It was a residential school kind of a thing where learning was open. Children could choose whichever streams, they could choose whichever class they wanted to attend. So when Shantiniketan was very active, younger children could sit in a math class of a more senior grade, or more senior children could sit down to learn nursery rhymes because that engaged them more. So that freedom was allowed in Shantiniketan, and unfortunately, very sad to hear that it's not run that way anymore. a lot of focus on creativity, etc. We've got this whole interpretation by Chanakya, which was, I will tell you what to do, and I know this is good for you, and you go ahead and live my way of world. Was his message to Chandragupta. That I know he didn't have many disciples, he didn't have a Gurukul, etc., but he was Chandragupta's guru, and his focus was holistic, but from the intent that Chanakya had in his mind for Chandragupta: strategy, governance, ethics, and all. So with so many interpretations of Gurukul, I had completely lost, the count of, okay, what aspect of Gurukul do I focus on for the discussion? I have picked one, but I've called out a few interpretations. I would like to know from you, is there any of the interpretations of Gurukul that you've heard so far that really caught your attention and you said, Shanti, definitely this one, let's talk more about this? Okay, I'm assuming none, so I will have it my way. Go ahead, Anush. You're on mute.
It's like business. And if you look at most scriptures,
I can't hear you clearly, Anush.
let me try, with my
Much better.
video off.
Yeah, much
Great.
better. Go ahead.
Yeah, I think the point about, it is led by the student's inquisitiveness. So,
Yeah, is that a point you would want to explore more? Oh, I think we lost him. All right, we will assume that that's the space that he wants to focus on. But let's all move on from here, assuming there is a common thread across these interpretations. Very clearly, in a Gurukul, learning was about becoming someone, not just knowing. The teacher or the guru was a guide. They were not the heroes or the know-it-alls. Context and judgment matter more than fixed answers. What else? And people evolved through these. So let's start with our traditional way of sharing stories. Why? Because despite having so many interpretations, even within the systems of the Gurukul, the experiences were not uniform. And I'm going to talk about two experiences which looked and felt very different, very well-known stories. We've all heard about them, but both of them set up in a Gurukul, but how our protagonists experienced the Gurukul looked and felt very different. And we will talk about equality and access through these stories. First one is the story of Krishna and Sudama, all of us know, but I will still read it out. Give me 1 second as I open my document. Yeah. All right, so Krishna and Sudama. In the ashram of Guru Sandipani, life was simple. No palaces, no privilege. Among the students were two boys, Krishna, a prince, and Sudama, a poor Brahmin boy. But in the Gurukul, that difference dissolved. They woke up at the same time, did the same chores, ate the same food. Learning was not separate from life. One day, they were sent to gather firewood. A storm broke out, rain poured, and the forest grew cold. The boys took shelter under a tree. Hungry and tired, Sudama quietly took out his beaten rice that he had in a pouch and ate it alone. Krishna noticed but said nothing. No judgment, no reaction, just awareness. Years later, when Krishna became the king and Sudama remained poor, but then when they met again, Krishna did not see status. He saw shared experiences because what shaped them was not instruction, it was how they lived and learned together. So, if you know this story, how it goes is Sudama goes back, he wants to meet Krishna. Because Krishna is a king, nobody allows him to meet, but he spots Sudama in the crowd and says, do you want to come forward? And they share a meal together. And hesitantly, he's not wanting to say that I need more money, but Krishna understands and provides that money and the food that Sudama needs. So there is a lovely reciprocation of the sentiment by Sudama after he receives food and money from Krishna. So that's story number one. The second story is that of Karna and Parshurama. Where's the document? Yeah. In another Gurukul lived Parshurama, a master of warfare. He had one rule: he would only teach Brahmins. Karna, born with immense ability but raised as a charioteer's son, was denied opportunity again and again. So he made a choice. He approached Parashurama claiming to be a Brahmin. He was accepted. Karna trained with discipline and devotion. He became one of Parashurama's finest students. Respected, trusted, seen. One day, as Parashurama rested on his lap, an insect burrowed into Karna's thigh. The pain was intense, but Karna did not move. When Parshurama awoke and saw the wound, he realized no Brahmin could endure this. The truth surfaced. And the consequence? Feeling betrayed, Parshurama cursed Karna, that his knowledge would fail him when he needed it most. Karna was left with skill, but also the weight of exclusion, a difficult choice, and a system that both enabled and limited him. I'll pause here to see what are you thinking about as you hear the two stories.
The first story, we were able to resonate with that because it is observed, and nowadays I see it's very common. Um, the second story, I started picturizing Karna with beautiful, peacock leaves and that started in my mind. The second story completely, I went to that, era where Karna and Krishna, all those people were there. So, yeah.
Very interesting. Thank you. Anush.
So I strongly feel that, and I'm just adding Dronacharya also to the mix with the famous, very famous episode, not only of Ekalavya, but also the fact that he demands a Guru Dakshina as half of his friend, ex-friend Drupada's kingdom.
Yeah.
I feel that, the role of, I mean, the intention or the presence with which the Guru is there, right? Presence, I'm using a very OD, this thing term.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm saying the presence of the Guru is extremely important. So if we look at Acharya Sandipani, he was pure in the sense
Hmm.
that there was no bias, no color, nothing
Yeah.
coloring his availability to his shishyas.
Lovely.
Whereas Dronacharya was initially bound by his oath or this thing to the Kuru princes or to the,
Hmm.
Bhishma. And on the other side, if we look at Sage Parashurama, he definitely, his opinion was colored by his hatred for Kshatriyas, which, the impact landed on the Shishya, unfortunately. Whether it
Yeah.
was Karna having to forget his this thing or Eklavya having to sacrifice his thumb, this thing, I think the importance of the guru in, raising themselves to the standard they expect of the students is so important from the multiple stories that you have narrated is something that stands out for me.
Lovely. Lovely.
While you were narrating the first story, I wasn't sure if I should speak about it or share this experience. So we changed states to relocate, and our daughter started going to school. She was barely 3.5 when we moved, and we were looking for a right school. Some of the schools which are very well known, the neighbors' children go there and everything. They were not accepting a child midterm.
Yeah.
Um, with that, we started looking at other schools, whoever takes her midterm, and we found some Montessori schools were open. Now, though I tried my best not to relate these two, Montessori way of learning and the Gurukul, but with the story, it sounds just the same.
Yeah.
Prisha studied in a Montessori environment for 1.5 years, maybe a little more than that. And we finally decided to move on to another traditional school, as what people say. The basic reason was while Prisha knew so many things, she knew the types of soil because they were the children, the 3.5, 4-year-old children were doing gardening. They knew types of soil, how to plant a soil, which plant to be careful with, but she did not know how to write the alphabet A. Whereas the other children were writing CAT, GAT, PAT, BAT, MAT, MAT. We as a parent, since we want to fit in the society, we got a little worried. And that concern of how this child, how my child will compete, uh, competition is going to be there. No, I am not the mother who is dreaming about IIT, certainly not. But even with that, I am also thinking to equip her with the or give her the best opportunities possible so that even if she witnesses competition tomorrow, she should be capable of it. While the Montessori environments do give us the confidence that when your child becomes 18 or 17, when the schooling ends, they will know all of it. They will be able to compete with the world. Can I wait till that time? I don't know. And what if not? Their curriculums are not structured. Child interested in gardening and petting, so they will keep focusing on that. The child will know a lot about plants, the soils, the animals, but they will not know about the alphabets. I don't know. It's actually worried
It
us.
does make parents much nervous. Uh, and that's the system we are living in, the system of 12th exams, the results came out a week and a half ago, and every child that I know of, their parents are my friends, 98.5, 99.6, 97 point something. And in our days, 75, hey, you've done a brilliant job, used to be there. And I'm like, what's happening? Why aren't children talking anything below 90 or 95? That seems to be um, the
The norm.
state of competition. And parents do get scared. So, despite having a system that focuses on holistic development, we choose the safer way out. Let the child at least feel included, because it's very easy for other children to make fun of this. Hey, you don't even know ABC, I know. Yeah. And when there are more of
Yeah.
such kids, your kid may not be able to stand up and say, but I know how to plant, you don't know. Because there are 5 of them who are claiming to know the alphabet and your child doesn't. Spot on, spot on. Advait, I saw you come on camera. Is there something you would like to share? Yeah, I'm assuming no. So thank you for the lovely shares. Yeah, while the Gurukul could create equality, build discipline, shape character, help them become who they want to be, the Gurukul can also reflect the realities of the society of that time. It may also limit access. Yeah, and that's the choice that parents have to make in today's date and time. So let's get into some questioning and answering. That's what we do. We try and answer some questions. Where in your lives today have you seen Krishna Sudama environments, and what do you think caused them?
Can you please repeat this, the last one, the question that you asked? I was in mid of something. I could not hear you.
No worries. I was saying, where in your environments have you seen the Krishna Sudama aspect play out, and why do you think that played out? When I say Krishna Sudama, the story where, despite of varying backgrounds, children learning together, working together, being together, where have you seen it in today's date and time, and why do you think that is?
Most of our school friendships, they They are like that.
Yeah.
See, when our reason for interacting, we are not even aware of all these backgrounds and parameters, where we are interacting with people for who they are.
Yeah.
That.
Yeah. Absolutely. And just for being my friend, that's all. There's
Yes,
nothing
no
beyond.
benefits.
Yeah.
The friendship itself is the reward of the outcome.
Wonderful. Anush.
So in a school environment, I've probably seen it in two places. One is, of course, the system that I studied in, because the philosophy was that there is no education should be free.
Yeah.
So we had students from all walks of life, and probably the difference did come when I walked in my 11th standard with a very good ICSC Mumbai education. So the kind of accent that I spoke with, or my fluency with English, did not match someone else. But that didn't matter, because we all slept on the floor. We had to sweep our rooms every day. There was no this thing for that. And
Wonderful.
eventually we all evened out, right? I mean, many of the boys who came from lesser privileged backgrounds are doing far better than me today. The other place I see this again is where education is free, and that's abroad. I
Mm.
see that, especially when, I mean, places like Singapore, where children have to, study as per the district. Where, I mean, according to the school district, there is really no this thing of coming in. A child may come walking, a child may be dropped off by in a limousine, but once they cross the threshold of the school, they are all equal.
They're all the same.
They're
And
all the
hence
same.
schools have uniforms so
Yes,
that
yes.
nobody walks in with
Yeah,
his
one
and
child doesn't
hers.
walk in with
Yeah.
torn clothes, and the other child doesn't walk
Yeah.
in with a Prada or something.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Thank you, Anush. Ishita.
The one place I have witnessed the Krishna and Sudama thing will be after our graduation. There were some students who were doing brilliantly amazing, got admission in for their post graduation to amazing colleges, very, very famous named colleges. And in some of the alumni, college alumni meetups, we, there was kind of a vibe within the meeting that, oh, he's studying there, oh, she's studying there, wow, you're doing great. And I was the one who studied physics, chemistry, mathematics, and the teachers, my parents were thinking, oh, engineer banegi. And I dropped the plan. Nahi banna hai. I can't do this. And I chose my own ways. Mm, I felt that to some extent people started leaving me because I did not belong to their field. And then I stepped back, got busy with my life, my career, my ways. After so many years, it's been like some 20 years that we have uh, completed our education. But then after so many years, when I met somebody in the metro recently, um, I realized that we all are still on the same page. We are still trying to figure things out. We are doing good in a few things. We are struggling with a few things, and the stories are just same. Maybe the concept has changed a little bit here and there, but stories are just the same. And that's what I feel that Krishna and Sudama Thingi both have their own struggles, both have their own victories, and they are
Yeah.
doing their best they could based on their capabilities.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Beautifully put, Ishita. Thank you. Yes, Advait.
Yes, so first of all, I would like to say thank you for this wonderful session. And this is the second session or third session I'm attending with you.
It's
And
okay.
every session, like it is something another kind of an awakening thought process that you create in a session. To start with, on the context that you're talking about, I would like to talk about the context of my great guru, Sri Mahavatar Babaji. So, like the person who is said to be, I mean, people. I mean, I'm leaving the context open to people's assumption. See, I mean, this person who I'm talking about, he is still living, who is more than 3,000 plus years old, where he has attained the ultimate salvation, and he lives as a light body, in form of light body, and he has been guiding people who are really interested, whose intentions are noble. So coming to the context of this Krishna and Sudama, yes, I would like to, yes, after reading this particular book called this Autobiography of a Yogi, I would say it is not just
Autobiography of a
autobiography of a yogi.
yogi. Huh.
So the book is written by Swami Yogananda, where he clearly says there were two kinds of friends. Two kinds of friends, where one was initiated based on his based on his, what is it, the innocence and the natural pure love towards everybody. This is one side. The other side, it is like I mean, he is kind of a person. You can say he is very notorious and asks why, whom, why should I do this. So this kind of an attitude, kind of a person, where in one keeping in mind the time constraint, just one instance which I would like to briefly highlight is where the guru, he says, he goes to the guru and meditates and tells that, nobody is believing me that you are there. So
Yeah.
here again, I mean, to like to make people aware, he says, okay, fine, जैसे हो ठीक है, चलेगा, कोई बात नहीं, हम दर्शन करते हैं. So the when the person comes, this person, he he goes to a state where he can't even talk about it, because he sees a entity like in form of light, which can't be described in words. So the person comes from, he does not come from you can say both. I mean, as per your, I mean, your thing. So the person who I'm talking about is Yogananda as a young kid. As a young kid, like who is not from a wealthy background, but still he is somewhat okay, from middle class family. The other one, he is from wealthy family where he does not have a knowledge of God completely.
Yeah.
So here, Babaji, even today, like you can find lot of isolated places where you can, if you honestly, if your intention is noble, he will come to you wherever, whichever form that you want. The context of telling is he does not negotiate. He will not see whether, irrespective of religion, who you are, and he does not see the difference between you are poor, you are rich.
Lovely. So you're again going back to what Anshuman stated in the beginning, that it's the guru who creates the environment for that equality, for that respect,
Yes.
and then children take it forward beyond that.
Yes.
Lovely. While I know Krishna Sudama is our ideal state, I'm sure we have all experienced what Karna experienced. Somebody getting a position, a reward, a recognition, even though they didn't deserve, but because they were at a certain position, they.
Ma'am, sorry for interruption. See, to tell you the exact context of this particular Karna's thing. See, the
Mhm.
thing is, if you happen to like, if people are aware of what past aggression analysis is, like Karna was an Asura. Karna was an Asura, but due to some the good deeds, whatever that he has committed, he got acquainted to the Guru. He got acquainted, but there is some, but there is a famous saying that karma has no menu. It comes back to you and eats you up. The same way it came and it showed ki, like, if you are bad, I'm your dad. The same thing that happened, that is what the actual contrast is. The karma comes back to make him realize, to think that what you did in the past. When the guru cursed him, he started analyzing why
Yeah.
guru cursed me. So this the same way if you take very beautiful thing which I can talk about is Krishna and Sudama, very beautiful ones, where the context which you presented, very beautiful. One with a rag, one with completely torn clothes, not even one a single penny to give. Other side who is completely rich,
Yeah.
but still end of the day, guru is one, and in Gurukul both study together.
Both
and both,
study together.
yes, both study together, and after a point of time where everyone has to path their ways according to their journey. So that is where things differ.
Absolutely. Yeah. So we are trying to now bring it into today's day and context, Advait, where I'm just trying to, of course, there is lots more context. I mean, these stories have tentacles of stories that are associated. We'll only restrict ourselves to this one episode. And have you, any one of you here experienced either being the Karna or having observed a Karna in your environment? Was my question. If anyone has an experience, would love to hear. Yeah, Srividya, please go ahead.
I have observed it in two parts of my life. One, I was in school. So while I was, I like that. That is what intention I had. Like everybody is equal, and everybody talks to everybody. So I started my schooling in Tumkur district, and then when I shifted to Bangalore, the culture there obviously we'll see some cultural differences too, right? But I took almost a year time to adapt to it. The reason was I started seeing patterns in school friendships. So I see gangs of groups of people, either associated with like marks, like I'm a topper and so you belong to my gang, or either associated with language. So I speak Malayalam, so you belong to my gang. So I am a multilingual person. So, and yeah, my marks were above average. So both of them, I mean, they were so-called leaders, and they literally came and asked me, which group you will choose. They asked in a different time. I was not in a situation to take a decision, but I had this question, and I still do have the question: why do you create groups and why do I have to join your group? That question
Okay.
still remained when I passed out of 10th. And then second thing where I have faced this is recently after my marriage. Obviously my husband's side and their culture, everything is totally different. I
Yeah.
shockingly met a person where he was proudly saying that we had after 20 long years we had a gathering, all our 10th students. We arranged a gathering at our old school, and we are still trying to put in some efforts to improve schools and all. I was like, okay, great, that's a great effort. And then he ended the statement saying, I asked how many did turn up. He said 20 people. And then I remembered he said he was in a class of 50. Then what happened to the other 30? I asked. He said no, they were from different caste. I was in a complete shock. So I did see, Karna's situation in all the other 30 people. Just because they belong to different castes, she doesn't mean that they didn't study with you, right? So it created a lot of imbalance. And I first impression is the best impression always, and that was the first impression of me, of that person, when he said that. So whenever I see, I get that, oh, this person is, I be very judgmental about that person, like, no, this
Uh-huh.
person is very caste oriented guy.
Mm.
So this
Thank you for
happened.
share, Srividya.
Yeah.
Vulnerable share, so truly appreciate. Anush.
This was about 12 years ago when, both incidents I'll compare side by side. I was in IIM Ahmedabad
Mm.
briefly for my PhD.
Mm.
So one thing was, of course, the cliques that formed, Sri Vidya said, based on either marks or the placements, etc. There were, of course, linguistic groups. But the second more shocking this thing that I found, the Karna syndrome that I found, was this was about 2013 when the Right to Education Act came out. And we had this thing, so we facilitated a session for the principals, school principals of Ahmedabad, trying to ask them what was their perspectives, etc. And they came out with something very surprising and shocking for me at the time. It has kind of become, experience has sort of normalized it. But they said that parents don't want their children to study with what they call RTE quota kids.
Yeah.
And they said that now they are being forced to open a separate section where the RTE kids come and study. And obviously, then what happens is the quality of the teachers, the quality of the education, everything is substandard in those. So it's just like a municipal school running in a ICSE, CBSE school building. And that really shook me in my boots, right? Because I was like, the child doesn't care. The children sitting there don't care, but the parents have kind of put in that thought now that those are RTE kids, you are fees paying kids. And so principals came up with that kind of thing saying that, we are happy to implement it, but this is and if we don't implement this kind of segregation, parents will not send their children to our school.
What is sad? Yes, Advait.
Here, my experience, I would say this happened a few years back. This happened in with one of the I would say one of well-known engineering college in Andhra Pradesh, where I went to deliver a session verbal communication. So there, like what happened was the principal, like yes, introductions went well, and after that, they themselves started segregating groups among themselves. I asked them, why are you like categorizing people? On what basis? They said, no, no, like we want to give. See, in the participant, I had two categories. The first category is who are purely from Andhra Pradesh and who knows only Telugu. The other side, who are mixed. And these people, they don't want me to take session for that particular thing. And the other side of it, they want to take session, but it should not be in Telugu. And surprisingly, the head of the department was from Karnataka. He said, no, no, like you should take that in English so that both can, and if some Kannada is there,
Yeah.
if people are, I mean, there are few students. I mean, he requested me personally. See, there are a few students from Karnataka, from Bellary. So I want you to take the session after that half an hour separately. I asked them, sir, like, why is that you want to differentiate all? And why are you trying to partition for gaining some knowledge? Why you want to discriminate people on three categories?
Yeah.
So
Did
this
they
is
have an
happening.
answer?
No, no. I mean, these people. What I mean, then I individually. I mean, I told the management that let me have an call with this group separately. Then when I spoke to them, they see the students are good, but people around them, they are trying to like make things worse. Same way,
Yeah.
like when I went to deliver a session for a school, 12th standard students, like in Karnataka, like it is in Tumkur. I don't want to mention the name of this school here, but here many people are aware of the school. So what happens is some students are made to sit on the bench, and some students are made to sit on the floor
Yeah.
because I mean, see, I mean, the political agenda is being put into the minds of kids. After this announcement telling that pure Kannadigas, that is whose parents are born and brought up and whose 10th standard is Kannada, they will sit on the chair. Okay. And
God.
the others are aliens. The other alien group, the Papa group, that has to sit in the floor. Even though they pay, and the school which I'm talking about, this is not
Yeah.
something you say some 10,000 or 20,000 fees. Hefty. I mean, we have to sacrifice the kidney there, donate the kidney there to get admission into that. So in big school itself, if this is happening, it is very tough to
Sad. It's
take
sad.
call.
Yeah. So few things that are emerging for me as I'm hearing your stories. that the shishyas or the student themselves probably don't create that divide, don't create that distinction. It is the parents, it is the teachers, it is the guardians that create an environment that creates this distinction of I am better, I am more privileged, I am rich, I am more intelligent, so on and so forth. That brings us to the next topic. What the Gurukuls got right is that it was all learning through experience, discipline through activities in their daily life, and that bond between student and student and student and teacher. All of these were very brilliant. How can we as parents, as leaders, as guardians, as responsible citizens create that kind of an environment? And let's take these roles one by one. What can parents do to create that kind of an environment where there are no rich and poor, there are no good and bad, there are no worker class or enabled class or whatever? Yes, Advait.
See, first of all, as a parent, they should, from the point of raising, at the time of raising kids, they should educate the kid that everybody is equal, and you are one among them, and the part of pampering has to be zero. And as Rothschild's book, if you read, they will say, do not appreciate the child, even though if it is performing well. Else, what will happen is it will have an pride over it.
Yeah.
So the point of telling is the parenting should, as a part of parenting, responsibility of parents should that first pampering should not happen, and second thing, they should not teach from kids that your father is great, your father is great, your father has done that. When the kid grows up, it will become something like मेरा बाप का कौन है पता है. They will go and they say do this.
Yeah.
That has to be addressed.
Help children find their own identity and not borrow the identity that is given to them. No, create your own identity is what you're saying, Advait.
Yes.
Second,
Yes.
parents need to teach equality, and I would actually take that a step further. Parents need to role model that equality at all places. I've been in homes where it was afternoon. I was at my friend's place. We wanted to have rasna was the only thing available in summers back then. So rasna piegi, I said yes. We went into the kitchen, and there was a fancy little green glass, and that looked very attractive. I said, I want to have rasna in this one. She said, नहीं, उसमें हमारी maid पीती है. And they had different classes for domestic help, and they had different classes for family members and friends. And I was like, oh, is that even a concept? I mean, इसमें maid पीती है तो दूल्हा तो होगा. That was my response. She said, नहीं, उसको कोई हाथ नहीं लगाता. I'm not sure how many of you follow Hindi. It basically means this glass is used by our maid and nobody touches it. Even if it's cleaned, it's only her glass. It is not kept with other glasses. It's kept isolated, secluded. And she knows whenever chai is given to her, she's supposed to have it in that specific glass. And I was what? 11, 12 maximum. So families do that. When parents don't role model that equality, that equity, I'm sure children will learn that. Thank you. Just one point, Advait. I would not say don't appreciate children, don't pamper children. I spot on agree to it. There's a difference between pampering and appreciating. Appreciation is more genuine, grounded, telling them what they need to do more of repeatedly. Pampering is you are the most wonderful child on earth. Definitely not that. Spot on, agree to that. Yeah. Yes, Ishita.
I am still a very young child's mother. I had to speak something on this.
Yes, please.
While it is, I also believe this that yes, appreciate your child, but don't pamper them. They need to understand the value of everything that they are getting. That this is precious thing to them, whatever they have got. Uh, Even with that, unfortunately, I don't know at what level we are in as a parent, but even after trying our best, we still rely a lot on some helps to take care of our children when we are working, um, to their grandparents when we are not available at home. Um, there was an instance where somebody, I don't know who, taught my daughter. So there was a construction site, and they would bring their children while they work in that construction site. And my daughter, she would love to play with any child, and whoever is in front of her, she will, oh, I found friends, I'll go play with them. And she's very mingly type of human.
Yeah.
Um, and somebody taught her, don't play with them, they're bad friends. Just because
Oh.
they have dirty, torn clothes,
Uh,
and they are playing with sand. So one day while coming back from picking her back from the school bus, I told her, you want to go play with your friends? And she told me, no, Mama, they are bad friends.
oh.
I understood what exactly would have happened. I actually wrote an article about this. Who defines what, even for a child?
Yeah.
So in spite of me trying my best to let her know that there are no bad friends or good friends, they are friends or not friends, but
Lovely.
I could not make her understand at all till date.
Till date, it will evolve. There will be a stage, Ishita, where she would come to you and say, are they really bad people, Ma? I can't see any badness. Please ask her to make her own choices. If you like playing with that kid, go run around. You make that decision. Good or bad, you have to decide, not someone else. And she will come around. Don't worry. Don't feel bad.
Thank you.
Anush,
Okay, my opinion is a little, I would say, idealistic, but I'm just placing it out there.
please do.
I think, see, first we need to reduce the barriers, right? If the good schools, let's say the good schools or the good systems are in very specific localities which attract a very specific crop or a certain distinct
Yeah,
group, even with the most pure, clean intent that the children have, they are used to only a certain group or a certain homogeneous kind of peer. The second thing is other barriers, like fees do make a huge difference. And I am not a parent, but I do see my people my age where they have to go through an interview to put their child.
yeah,
Right? What about a parent who can, even if they can afford the fees, but is completely raised vernacular, is probably married to a spouse who's come from a village, who's just had the basic education. They have the intent and the capacity to put their child through the best of education, but they don't because they do not qualify for the school's so-called standards. And what is the school doing if they expect the parents to sit at home and teach the kid?
it's
Right?
the
So
kid.
these
Yeah.
kind of monetary or this thing barriers which cause forced homogeneity among students breeds that
Spot
further in
on.
their lives.
Absolutely spot on. In fact, when I was reading about Gurukul, the best part was nobody paid anything upfront. Anyone could join the Gurukul. They all learned together, and based on what they learned and their capacity and capability to pay, the Guru would ask for a dakshina, not a fees. And from a king, it could be, can you construct more hermitages for the children who will come, or a bowl of rice from a poor kid.
Yeah.
It could be as varied. It need not be that anybody who studies here pays the 5 lakhs. I don't care. Yeah. So yeah, I am ideal world would love to have that uh, space where children are able to pay based on who they become rather than
Mm.
the parents shelling out money or not being able to shell out money and feeling bad that I could not get my child admitted to a school that I hoped I could. Yeah, absolutely. Thank you. Yes, Advait.
I would like to just add one point here. Like the point which I want to highlight is, see, there's a very big difference between the school that we are studying and if you go to this the school run by Nita Ambani. There's and run and these are two different level things. There people are taught about the mindset of people is from the point zero. It is all about business, 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 and the status. Whereas what we are educating in our school is something different. The normal schools and what normal colleges, if you want to study, okay, you study. If you don't want to study, you leave it. Call your parents, leave it. So it doesn't work that way around. So the top 1%, what I'm talking about, the education system is completely different out there. Even if you talk about worlds, I mean, where powerful families, kids come and take their degrees. So there the education is something different. They will not be asked to prepare for interviews. They will be prepared for an entrepreneurial mindset. So after seeing those things, why I'm asking myself, and I'm telling everybody, why is that there's a difference between this? So that is where I got an answer that there's even though in India we don't in India, like certain things are highlighted, but throughout the world things are highlighted that there is a master slave kind of an education system where practically some people are being pushed to be a master, and we are being forced to do that. Evidence is wherever you go and register everything.
Yeah.
Whereas the category education system, which the other side of that I'm talking about, you will not find their names in Google. They will not be there in your thing, but they will be sitting in as a director of, say, a company called BlackRock. Are you aware of that?
Yeah.
So the BlackRock directors are not. They also study, but in a different mindset. And to be frank, our system, Indian education system, is completely collapsed. There's no point in blaming.
Yeah, we're not blaming. We're just saying wishful thinking is what we are doing. That hope we have schools where there is focused education. You want to become a business person, learn business from day one. Yeah, you want to be an environmentalist, please learn how to be an environmentalist from day one. You want to be a musician, do that. And feel free to change. I'm learning music. I don't like music. I like animals. Can I change? I'm hoping the answer becomes yes soon, and it's not as restrictive as it's today.
And I think the question is also, why should only Shah Rukh Khan's son or someone have access to that kind of this thing in Neeta
Yes.
Ambani's school, and why not like some Bholaram Bhelpuri wala's son also
Yeah,
have that?
absolutely.
The name, Anush. Kola, very
No,
nice.
I just like alliteration.
Yeah, yeah, why not? All right. If I were to ask you to think, what is it that we can do? Um, we can't change the world. We can't boil the ocean. I completely hear all of that. What is in our control? What can we do as leaders, as people, as educators, as trainers, facilitators, as humans? What is it that we can do to change this?
Ma'am, ideally, my ideal thing would be, see, the world is out of control. Now it is in a very, we are moving in a very uncertainty times. So only thing we can change is we need to train the parents.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
everything that starts from parents, they fight in front of the kids, and they do a lot of dramas, and when the parenting is not good, so that is what the reference goes to Mahabharata, where it clearly says that you train your kid from mother should train their kid from the garbha,
yeah,
where
yeah.
no woman is ready for it, and the mother, like when she is very young, drinks, eats everything whatever comes on her way, and later on when the kid does the same thing in her age, no, I mean, बच्चा बहुत बुरा है, बहुत टेढ़ा है. See, whatever comes that in your genes, that will come now. Why are we blaming the Gen Zs are not? The corporates are blaming that Gen Zs are very worst in their thing. Why? All genes, parental genes, whatever they were young, उन्होंने जो किया वही करते हैं. For example, you take I don't know, you take the name of Ranbir's father. He was accustomed to drugs. So naturally or gradually, you can say Ranbir is attracted to that. Shah Rukh Khan, you take. I mean, the same thing. The drugs problem is there. He can't go in front of public because Shah Rukh Khan has a fear of. I mean, he openly said in an interview that I have a fear of attachment. The same passes on to his son. So it is all about DNA. See, there are
DNA is different. I do understand
no
that
no
we
see
imbibe our behaviors.
no no see everything. If you understand the root cause, if you see in Six Sigma rule, if you go back to analyze the root cause, it
Mhm.
starts from the DNA. It
I
starts
have a
from
very different understanding of DNA. DNA does
no
not
no see
determine how I behave.
no
It
no no no
determines my
see
hair color. It determines what diseases I can
no
get.
no 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 see my point here is in if you I mean I have done a small research on that particular thing, then I'm speaking about this.
Mm.
The point of the based on my research, what I can tell you is DNA decides and DNA has a program. That algorithm, it takes the help of what we call it as Akashic records. It takes help of Akashic records, stores that, and based on their parents' behavior and things like that. So it creates a new combination of behavior pattern, and that is only seen in their kids.
Yeah, I partly agree. Does our DNA govern our behavior? The answer is yes. But there is enough evidence that says that I need not choose to be my parents. I can choose to be very different. Does it have an influence? Yes. But the choice is still that of the child to decide who they want to be. Uh, so and there's a small story for that. There was this couple with twin boys, very happily living, and the father died. The mother was the sole breadwinner, had to earn a lot, and she would constantly tell her children all the frustration and tired when they would want her to play and spend time with her. She'll say, because of so much you are troubling me, I am also going to end up in a mental asylum, and you are also going to end up in a mental asylum. That was a constant messaging she gave both the kids. Yes, both the kids did end up in a mental asylum, but one entered as a patient and the other entered as a doctor. So, yes, there is an influence, but still the child has enough power to choose who they want to be. So, yes, it's very easy to blame our parents and say, I am like this because of my parents. It is easy to get influenced, but I still believe there is enough power with the child to choose. I don't want to be my parent, that bad part of my parent, that bad part of the society that I detest, and I can choose to be who I want to be. Do all of us choose? The answer is no. I'm not supporting women having alcohol during pregnancy. I'm not supporting any of that. What I'm saying is the child has enough agency to choose who they want to be. How can we provide that agency is what I'm trying to figure out here. Yeah. And Advait, if you can share the link to the research and paper, we'd be very curious to read about it. Thank you for that share. Srividya.
My perspective is how do we break this chain? Would be is first thing is step up, don't stay silent, break the
Lovely.
silence. We have to break silence from our end. When we watch or hear such thing, we should stop. If we are hearing something, we should stop then and there and let the information not pass us. Or let's say if I'm watching something happening in front of me, I should open up and go out and talk. Like, I know what the worst thing can happen is that person can hit on me. That's the worst thing, but I'm trying to create some change here, right?
Lovely,
So
lovely. And going
that
back to
that
what Advait was saying, it comes from the parents, and especially if we as adults are noticing other parents demonstrate
true.
behaviors that are not palatable, call it out. Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you. Ishita.
So, um, we as parents, today's parents, even we don't know what is right or wrong. Uh, the society is so biased sometimes. So even if somebody, I have seen my mother or my grandparent or my grandmother caring for me as a child.
Yeah.
My grandfather would only tell me stories, will help me learn, will help me with my studies. So it was a very different type of division of work with the child or involvement with the child.
Yeah.
When I became a parent, I see similar type of involvement. Although my husband, being today's parent, he tried to be little more available than what I saw my father, or I may not have I may not remember what happened in the early childhood, but to whatever I saw my father or grandfather to be. Surprisingly, one day I asked my husband to help me to help our little one. She was barely 1 year old, to brush her teeth. And we used to use, because she barely had a teeth, a couple of teeth maybe. Uh, so we used to use a finger brush where you put a cap on the finger which has very small fine bristles, and then you brush the baby's teeth. Uh, and then he could not even fit that. I was doing this every day. He could not fit that toothbrush, that finger brush, in any of his fingers because his hand is bigger than me.
Yeah.
And then he was like, Letty, this is not made for fathers. That raised a
Yeah.
question that, yeah, is that not made for father? Even the bottles, the feeding bottles, they were made for a smaller hand of a woman. What if the woman had a bigger hand? What will
Yeah.
that woman do? To hold it properly without any trouble. And even if you're sleeping, you can still have the bottle in your hand. Um, these, I don't know, it will take, this may sound very diplomatic, but I strongly feel that it will take some time to break the norms. I don't.
It will. We have to keep talking. We have to keep reiterating, keep noticing, observing. What Sri Vidya Advait, they're constantly saying, this is what we are observing, this is what we're saying. I think those discussions need to happen a lot more, with the hope that uh, the new normal is far closer to what we hope our ideal world is. Yeah, absolutely.
Especially when a child is born, I don't know about others, but I was clueless what to do with this one.
Hmm.
That bird looking like a human, I had no clue what to do with that thing. And I used to replicate whatever my mother-in-law would do with the child. She would pick her up in a way, and I would do the same. She would bathe my daughter in a way, and I would just follow. Where I don't know, I will just blindly follow what they're doing.
Yeah.
And I think that's how I learned, because I did not know what to do with that little life. I just used to sing because I like singing. And surprisingly, that became her happy language, singing. And she's happy, she will not clap, she will not jump, she will just sing. Uh, yeah, maybe we are trying to do our best, but we also need some training,
We
I
are
guess.
trying. We need more people talking, observing, bringing to surface the observations a lot more. What else can we do?
I mean, I'm just sort of paraphrasing what a lot of other people have said and what you said earlier as well. Whether it is the Gurukul or this thing, I mean, it's children learning by doing, whether children observe the guru or their parents.
Hmm.
They blindly mimic that. No matter how much I learn the fundamental rights in my civics lessons, I may learn about equality, liberty, fraternity, but if I
Yeah,
don't see that being practiced in my home, I will never ever be the person I ought to be.
absolutely,
And
absolutely.
it takes, I mean, though you mentioned that story of the, two siblings in a
Children,
psychiatric hospital, I guess it's a lot easier for the child to emulate what they have seen. It takes a huge amount of effort and
to
possibly
make
the
that
intervention of a
choice.
mentor,
Yeah,
the intervention of some mentor to even make them aware that they have that uh,
lovely. That's exactly
choice.
what I was telling Advait, that I think our job as a society, as adults, as parents, as mentors, as leaders in organization, is to enable the younger generation realize that agency, that they have a choice. They don't have to mimic their elders. How can, and it is tough. I'm not saying it's easy. Especially when I'm sure we also did that, right? When we saw some adult do something that we like, we wanted to be them. I wanted to
Mhm.
be my science teacher in fourth grade. I would wear a sari like her. I would wear a bindi like her, try to teach empty notebooks exactly the way she would say, emulating her. Half of my day at home in during summer holidays was my job. Be my Chet was her name. Be her as far as possible. We all do that. Until it was one uncle, we used to call him chocolate uncle because he used to come every evening and give us a chocolate. He said, "You don't need to be Chet Singh, ma'am. You can be Shanti, ma'am." And I'm like, oh, wow, never thought of it. Uh, yeah. So, yeah,
And yeah,
I
if I
think,
may just add one more thing, right? Because both, I mean, we happen to have two house helps because one was doing the domestic work and there was one person as a caretaker for my grandmother. And
Mhm.
both of them, they have an older, their eldest is a daughter, and both of the daughters seem to have gone wayward the same way their mothers have, gone. Uh, I mean, kind of, going towards the toxic, unemployed male,
Yeah,
this thing.
yeah, yeah.
And my mother keeps worrying about them, saying that why are these girls doing this? Aren't they educated and stuff? But that's the thing. That's their role model, right? A
Yeah.
lot of this thing, and I'm just I'll probably share the link to the research paper if I get that. But then when they talk about a lot of African American teenagers getting into drug dealing, they're only
Yes.
inspired by the drug dealers who they see, coming wearing the Nike Jordan, Air Jordans, and that is their picture of wealth and success. They have not seen the, say, maybe an investment banker, or they have not seen someone who's successful differently in
Mm-hmm.
their environment, someone who's from their environment. They'll always see that this thing as a fairy tale. Even if they do see it, they will see it as a fairy tale, inaccessible to them.
Absolutely.
Kind of
Absolutely.
like my sister leads, being a doctor, is not the kind that this girl who's my house help's child will ever imagine for herself.
Yeah.
So the role models at home and in society, I think, are so important. And
Very important.
someone saying, like, someone told you can be Shanti, man. Someone, you can be this.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Would that be the reason that the parents wants to put their children in a school where only like-minded children or families come?
I think we
I'm
have a
sure they,
tendency.
huh. Go
We
ahead,
have
go
a
ahead.
tendency for homogeneity, whether it is
We do.
like attracts like we do. We have
Yeah.
to very actively seek diversity. It has to be a very conscious and difficult decision very often.
Yeah. And I'm not sure whether what we look for is like-mindedness. There is no way I can figure out the mindset of the other parents that I'm putting my child in whichever school I'm putting. Very difficult to gauge that. All I know is they live in similar societies like us. Their way of life is very similar to ours. So I'm hoping that their values and beliefs and value systems are also similar to us. That's just a hope. And it has worked at times, it has not worked at times.
Reminds me of that movie English Medium.
Yeah.
Hmm.
All right. Let's try to bring the conversation together. We'll do a round robin in terms of what is it that one thing you're going to go forward and do from here on to be that role model. I think that's what is emerging in our conversations from each one's share is that we have to role model for our ongoing no benefit, or that it will not help us blame the next generation, blame the younger kids saying they are not this, they are not that, but can we be that role model, can we be that example that they want to follow, and create the kind of society we would like to. So if that is our intent, and I'll go by the order in which I see people on my screen, we'll start with Asabri. What are you going to do?
Listening
You're
to
mute.
Yeah, I was listening to all of this and the question that you asked right now, and I'm reminded of something that I read, and it's so beautiful that we say that social service begins at home, and there's an extension to it. It begins with you.
Yeah.
The biggest social service that you can do is by being yourself. A flower does not have to be someone else to attract the bees and the butterflies, it just has to be itself. So if we can nurture ourselves and nurture our thoughts and agency, that would really, I think, do good to us and in turn to the people who come in contact with us.
I think role modeling cannot be performative. Right. There's one professor of mine when he was leaving the institute. He said one thing to me, and that's kind of etched in concrete in my brain. And he said that you don't know who is looking up to you. So I was in my MBA at that time, and there were undergrad students also in the same hostel. And he said you don't know who looks up to you. So you are a role model to people, you don't know it. I mean, he meant to inspire me, but to me that lesson was I don't know who's if I don't know who is looking up to me, I cannot be a good sophisticated human being in front of my own child and then be a drunk this thing outside, right? I have to, so I cannot be performing the ideal role all the time. That's obviously going to take it all out of me. I have to be that. I have to be what I want to emulate, what I want others to learn. So, like as Satori said, it starts with me. So, be what you want to see.
Be what you want to see, your genuine, authentic self. Thank you. Advait. Advait, are you there? We'll come back.
Probably on mute.
We'll come back. We'll come back. Ishita.
How or what are the ways that that can make me more aware where I'm getting biased or trying to fit in the society or in a bigger group? I could not find any, honestly. Even when I thought about it, I was constantly thinking. There's one thing certainly that I found as a solution, and the biggest takeaway from this session would be to make myself more vulnerable. To word it out that I am doing this, and especially in front of my child, that I am doing this because this is what my belief is. Yours could be different. And that vulnerability will also bring a difference, that this is what my mother thought. I am open to think something else. What I believe is
Both
right.
of it can be right. Yeah. Only adults, only our parent figures need not always be right. I can also have a right which looks and feels different from what my parental figures thought. Thank you. Rishabh, is there anything you want to add?
Yeah, ma'am. So if something wrong happens in our society, we have to take voice on that. This is wrong happening. So, and knowing the world that is not good or what is good or bad. So always be kind to everyone, that what they are going through, or so be kind. We have to be kind to everyone.
And like Anu said, you can't perform kind in front of person A, not kind in front of person B. You have to be kind throughout and be that genuine self. Thank you. Sharati?
I just want to first say that it can one of the first things that comes to mind is that it's definitely really scary to acknowledge that you're in a position of influence, that people are learning from you, you're in the spotlight there constantly. But that doesn't mean people expect perfection from you. It's about you showing that mistakes can happen and stuff. And beyond that, I think you should acknowledge that kids at some point gain their own agency and individuality of thought. Formative years, it's definitely important to model perfect behavior, but at some point they start making their own choices, especially towards the teenage years. Their social circle plays a bigger role than their familial circle, and you need to start holding them accountable as individuals rather than letting it go as them being a product of the system. Because if you all grew out of the system and became the wonderful people you are now, then we can train the youth to grow out of the system that is clearly attempting to sub them down.
Yeah. Thank you, Sharati. Beautifully articulated. Srividya, I don't see a mic with you. I'm not sure if you can hear and speak. Are you there? Advait, did you get your mic back?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. There was some glitch. I'm able to. I mean, somewhat I managed to fix it. I don't know what happened to that thing. Okay,
No
so
worries.
to be very precisely to the point. So first of all, I'll share my points in my understanding. So first of all, like we need to filter the conversations and respond to. We should stop reacting to things and start responding in an appropriate way. Observe more, talk less, and maximum like how we can practice gratitude, and how we
Yeah.
can make things fruitful, and connecting with universe will solve the entire issues what we are facing. That is my way of my this is my thought process. I don't want, I want to filter out noise. That's what I tell my juniors, that
Yeah.
filter the noises. Don't just get influenced. Just somebody says that you are not good. No, we don't want that. We
We are
don't want
not
to.
good as by them, their
Yes.
metrics, their standards.
So
Absolutely.
it's all about mind trick. Like but the conscious mind should not be made. That's what they say. If everybody, I believe everybody would have watched this movie called Three Idiots. So there he says very clearly that dimako ullu banao. Always fool your conscious mind, because the conscious mind will panic every time it sees something. But subconscious mind say, "हाँ ये भी चलेगा." I mean, everything is there. It records everything, but it is silent.
Very beautiful, very beautiful. Such a lovely, deep discussion, people. Thank you. What I am walking away from this session is, because we don't have the luxury to create those designated places called Gurukul, can we make this world into a Gurukul where we are living and learning in the same environment? And can that environment that we create for ourselves, for our children, be as positive as we would like it to be for ourselves? So with that, I would close the session unless someone has a comment, question, anything. If not, I'm quickly going to share a QR code. If you can share a couple of thoughts on how the session went, we would love to hear your feedback, and looking forward to seeing you in our next session. Thank you, everyone. Yeah, if you don't have any questions and you've submitted your feedback, please feel free to leave. And as we can pause the recording.